I remember listening to a plethora of songs on lots of cassette tape through an old Blackburn car radio on my dad's 1993 Proton Wira. Sound quality, well, not so good. See, I believe you agree with me that cassette tape sounds bad, and lucky we live in the era where CD exists. Yay! CD allows us to record song or audio with an uncompressed audio quality, which mean high quality sound capabilities. But did you know that actually cassette tape sound better than what we remember? And no, I don't mean Type 4 metal cassette tape. I actually mean this Type I Ferric Tape, that crappy one that we remember how usually terrible it sounds. Now, before I prove to you that ferric tapes sound better than what we remember, let's dive a bit to history or just know a bit what is cassette tape. Now, if you're curious what is actually cassette tape, in case you live in Spotify civilization, born in modern era, well, cassette tape is basically a compact version of reel-to-reel tape. You know those rotating tape on the reel where on the old vintage movie, yeah, that's basically it is. It's a compact version of them. And yes, when I say they are basically those reel-to-reel cassette tape, their working principle is basically the same, except they are a lot smaller and of course a lot simpler. Because they are small and not as big as reel-to-reel cassette tape, that means it's portable. And yes, we can bring it to everywhere, although it's a bit seems bulky, and even play it on Walkman. And I know this is not Walkman, this is just typical modern MP3 player, but just to show you how portable it is. Now, the main different point of the cassette tape and reel-to-reel tape is basically the size. The cassette tape are this big, and the reel-to-reel tape are, yeah, a lot thicker. Thick? No, it's a lot wide. Tape size to be specific. Reel-to-reel tapes are usually varied from quarter-inch, half-inch, 1 or 2-inch wide tape. Cassettes, on the other hand, use 0.15-inch wide tape. Yes, it's more smaller than reel-to-reel tape. Also, cassette tapes only offer 4-channel audio track, which basically 2 stereo channel, each on each side of the tape. Meanwhile, reel-to-reel tape can offer a lot more audio track rather than 4, just 4, depend on the configuration on your recording and of course the tape size. Other than tape size, cassette tape have a lot smaller dynamic range rather than the reel-to-reel tape. The reel-to-reel tape have a dynamic range up to 77 decibel. Meanwhile, the cassette tape, on the other hand, these babies only have a dynamic range of 60 decibel. That's for ferric tape. And if you use metal tape, it can reach up to 70 decibel. 7 decibel different than the reel-to-reel tape. At this point, I understand. You're gonna say to me that, like, Pachi, you're just telling me that this tape is crappy, right? I mean, yeah, the size is small, dynamic range just smaller than the reel-to-reel tape. What's the point bringing up this? Well, first, let me talk to you about dynamic range. What is dynamic range? To put it simple so the non-audiophiles can understand what I'm talking about, let's imagine that you are fishing in a lake that have like the depth of 20 units and the net have the height of 7 units. Put your net at the depth of 10 units for the bottom part of the net. If we visualize it, the net will be at this depth in the lake. Now, if the fish swimming at the depth of 11 units in the lake, what will happen? Of course, the fish swimming freely without getting stuck on the net, obviously, as the net is above the fish and it's not in the way of the fish. But let's say the fish is swimming at the depth of 7. What will happen? Of course, the fish got caught on the net. Basically, we can catch the fish in the lake if the fish is swimming in the area where the net is located. Well, that's basically what dynamic range in the nutshell. The net represents the recording medium dynamic range, in this case of our discussion, cassette, and the fish is the audio signal. If the audio signal is too low beyond the dynamic range, no audio will be recorded on the tape, and even if it does, it gets buried with the tape noise. And if the same thing happen, but rather than signal too low, instead it's too high, the audio will be distorted and the tape will be saturated, which basically sounds like this. So by now, by taking all of this account, yeah, one of the way we're gonna improve the recording on cassette is by recording on the tape, by making sure that the audio signal not too low and not too high based on the cassette dynamic range, right? Well, that's not enough. There's more step we need to do in order to achieve a better recording on the ferric tape. And the things that we need to consider is the recorder that we want to use. If you record the audio or the tape, let's say using the Walkman, the recording function on the Walkman, that's your problem and your mistake on why the tape sound terrible. The reason why the recorder on Walkman can achieve better recording because it's not capable for it, because the recorder function that have on the Walkman just been built so you at least can record audible sound. This is good if you want to record speeches. If you want just at least to hear what the speech are and don't care about quality, and that's basically it. At that time we don't really care about quality, we really care about the content. But if we really want to achieve the better sound on ferric tape, we need to use something like this. This is Taya W600R stereo double cassette deck, and I got this from my old workplace, and it have two, as you see, two tape deck. And not just that, it also have recording function on the deck too, and it also have dubbing function, which is I'm not gonna talk about it because it's not the scope in this video. Basically, if you want to know, dubbing is basically if you have one source of tape and then you want to copy it in other's tape. That's basically dubbing is. Although this cassette deck looks big, it's actually very light. It's very light. This cassette deck also have a two stereo RCA input and output, which is perfect for today's demonstration. And the tape I'm gonna use today is, of course, this Type I Ferric Tape, fresh from factory. Yes, this is new and it's still manufactured today. And to be specific, I buy this from factory in China. Yeah, they do many, well, you can find many vintage things that they still manufactured, like one of these. It's a lot though, and that's why I buy 10 of them. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, here's the song recorded on the tape. Have a listen. I accomplished this by making sure that the audio signal that goes into the tape is on the sweet spot of the dynamic range. Well, basically by the help of this audio meter, it's on the zero, the number 0. Well, you know, it's easy to say after gazillion failure, you know. When I press record on this cassette deck, it's not directly recording to the tape. It actually enters to like a pre-record or pre-monitor, basically monitor mode, which you monitor first the signal that you want to get into the tape. So you can adjust the record level to make sure that it's on the sweet spot of the let's say the cassette dynamic range, so it doesn't have any problem with distortion, or the sound is just buried with the noise. And well, if you use a more fancy cassette deck, it doesn't necessary to do that kind of calibration where you listen first the song and adjust the audio level so it's on the sweet spot of the dynamic range. Some cassette deck have an automatic function where you just do that on by the push on one button. So yeah, it's easy. And also just adjusting some parameter on the tape deck. Obviously my tape doesn't have that. Oh, and just additional info, if I record audio on that metal tape, I can extend or just make sure that can make the audio pass rather than on 0 decibel up to plus 5 decibel. As again, we know that metal tape can handle and have a more dynamic range than the ferric tape, which is make it sound even better. Now I know you might ask about tape noise. Now tape noise is something natural. Any tape you buy, even metal tape, have tape noise because that's a natural behavior of the tape. What we can do is to make sure that it's on the very low level. And to achieve that, well, I just do this. Well, that's wrong. By enabling this Dolby NR. And if you're curious what is Dolby NR, it's basically stand for Dolby Noise Reduction. And most of the cassette deck like this have one. And if I'm not mistaken, this is Type C. Nah, I forgot. I missed the manual though for this cassette deck. Now, if you're curious how the Dolby NR system works, I suggest you to watch Alex from Technology Connection, where he introduced you with Dolby, and also explain and demonstrate how actually Dolby noise reduction system work and makes Dolby one of the industrial player in sound industry. So yeah, that's how you get a decent audio recording from a ferric tape by using some of this method. Of course, I know it's not as great as recording on the metal tape and what actually and also CD, but it sounds nice and even a bit better than what we usually remember. Before I end my video, I'd like to thank to my friend Sema from United Kingdom for allowing me to use the song that she used in her game she created by herself from the game Blue Blood, Red Blood. It's a visual novel, by the way, and if you guys curious, you can go to the website, link in the description. Anyway, thanks for watching, and oh boy, it's been a long time not make a proper, style video. See you next time. Oh, wait. By the way, if you guys have any idea what video I should make next, just leave it in the comment section, especially the pinned message below. Thanks.